How do we partner our pursuit of the presence with our strategic minds or our need for some structure and organization? Because some leaders have both, and some are in either or and they have people on their teams that are the other. Yeah. How do we partner those two things together as we're leading?
It's a great question. You know, pre-encounter, like if I do the Strengths Finders test, strategic always shows up somewhere in my top 5 strengths. And so I love strategy. I actually love to implement and to create something that facilitates the move of God. But post-encounter, I mean, I was so undone by God that I was like, do I just spend the rest of my life on my face, just crying and weeping? And honestly and truthfully, just had a heart to steward really well what God had done. And so I remember sitting with Bill, just really unsure, being like, what do I do now? And Bill doesn't say a lot always, but he said, Hayley, the priests clean the bloody pots and pans in anticipation for a great sacrifice. And it just set in motion for me this permission, one, to long for what I received, to not let that hunger go, but to steward it, to nurture it. But that everything that I built was an offering, was a preparation for an outpouring of the Holy Spirit. And so in my mind, I began to look at structure and strategy, not unto the goal of more butts in seats, but unto what facilitates, what is going to be the structure for the outpouring of what you're wanting to pour out. And it gave me purpose, it gave me vision, but it also did alter some of my maybe high producing methodology into what does it look like to move at the pace of connection and intimacy, where I'm following what you are saying and what you are doing, not simply what I know to do. And so it's been a journey. The other thing I want to say is that structure actually forces us to find out what is valuable to us. A lot of times we see structure as limiting, and sometimes it can be. But there are other times where structure, you know, when you have 20 minutes to share a message versus 2 hours, you have to really refine down to what is important for this moment. And I think that that shouldn't be a license for us to strangle out or quench the spirit. Right. But it also gives us purpose to, let's have a structure so that we can find and make sure that what we feel is valuable and what God is breathing on. So we really seek and discover it so that we come intentional about what He's doing. But let's also be fluid enough that if God begins to move and breathe on one of those things we're pursuing, that we can lay it all aside and pursue Him. And so I think structure helps on the forefront for us to really hone in on what He is saying. You know, some of us, our lack of structure is, I actually don't want to take the time to discover what, you know, I'd rather just figure it out in the moment. And we all have different personalities. And I think it's important that we lend to both things, but neither is following a personality, both is following a person and allowing the person of God to dictate the flow of our structure or the flow of our of what we're valuing and pointing ourselves at.